So the topic on the show is love and basketball. Ooh. Today we're diving into something the WNBA doesn't really shy away from, but the fans don't always fully understand: relationships on the same team. We're talking real chemistry, not just pick and roll chemistry, but actual love. And here's the question. If you're the number one draft pick, the face of a franchise, can you really balance the pressure of leading a team and playing alongside your partner? Does love eventually become a distraction? That is a question that we're asking her today. But let's look at real WNBA relationship history. We just want to lay the groundwork before we dive into the meat. Sue Bird, Megan Rapone, one of the most famous power couples in women's sports. Different teams, different sports, less locker room conflict. Diana Taurasi and Penny Taylor, teammates of the Phoenix Mercury, won a championship together, later married. But you ask yourself the question, is this a blueprint for success, relationship, and winning culture? The Phoenix Mercury already had strong leadership, they had clear roles, and they also had championship expectations. So in a nutshell, I'm thinking that's why it worked. But let's also go down the road and look at Candace Parker and Anna Petrakova. Not same NBA team dynamic long term, but it shows that relationships can work. But I want to bring in Kyron here and ask a question. So Kyron, I'm going to ask you quickly. We are talking about love and basketball in the NBA, yeah? And we just want to know, does it work, you think? Do these relationships really come to fruition? Like, I want to pose this question to you. Like, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Can you imagine if Caitlin Clark, the number one pick, generational talent, media everywhere, pressure through the roof. Can you imagine if Caitlin Clark and her girlfriend were on the same roster? Like, what would the headlines be?
We're not going to have to worry about that because we know Caitlin Clark actually has a boyfriend. Yeah. So she doesn't shoot that way. However, to me, the issue again is, yes, we've seen throughout history there, however awkward it may be, because again, it's one thing if you were maybe married, but to be dating, and then if things go awry, what does that mean for the squad? Are you looking to have to move one of the two players? In this case, Paige Beckers, I think would have a little more staying power, would have a little more of the say in that situation because she's the more talent of the two players. But to me, it comes down to this franchise. Was the franchise doing the best thing for the franchise itself? Again, if AZ was undoubtedly the best player in the draft, hey, to me, it's like, okay, we could deal with the talent and then the situation, as opposed to, okay, we're going to draft this player because it's going to appease an important piece of our team. Because clearly, to me, if I was looking at that draft, looking at that franchise, I would look up and down my roster and say to myself, hey, there's a 6'7" girl available who's going to dominate the interior, who's going to hold down our defense, which is shaky at best, and be able to create some offense. And especially in the WNBA, where we know it's about bigs, it's about rebounding, it's about the high percentage layup. It's like the 90s men's basketball, closer to that, as opposed to what we have now in men's basketball. So big wins, all right? You look at the teams that win titles in this league, you're looking at the aces with the age of Asia Wilson, who's, again, questionably the best player. You're looking at Minnesota over there with Nafise Collier, another 6'3", 6'4" player who has skills. Best is not of that skill set, but even then, Amy Pham, the Spaniard girl who's 6'4", who's young, yes, but highly talented. All these players I would have been looking at before AZ, Fudd, and...
Really?
even coming off her tournament again, Bud as a player, yeah, when she gets going, she can be a shooter, which would help Dallas. Yes, I won't disagree there. Half decent defender, not special,
Yep.
but
So
she's unable to create her shot, unable to, not a high end creator for anyone else. So and that's your number one pick.
you're telling me
That's
you're telling me that this number one pick was picked because of a relationship then? Because
yeah, for
obviously,
sure.
okay.
For sure, for sure.
And
And
you know
again,
what?
even watching any of the previews, and you see, and again, if you weren't even familiar with their situation, you see a lot of people hinting at, oh, there's a no doubter that Dallas is going to select this girl. Why would that be? If she's clearly not the number one talent, why would that be? They obviously understood the relationship, the pull that Paige has in that franchise, and again, hey, don't get me wrong. Dallas might be playing chess, not checkers here, right? Understanding that, hey, this is the WNBA. We don't got the eyeballs necessarily. This might be a built-in way to drum up some of these eyeballs, right?
You know what?
Hey, we got a love story here. And
Yeah.
whether it crashes and burns or it blossoms and blooms, you're gonna have a potential reality show environment where that alone may draw some eyeballs and draw some attention.
I'm a little bit disappointed because it doesn't seem like it's about basketball. It seems it's about, soap opera stories. That's what's selling tickets nowadays. Seeing
But-
what's yeah.
But hey, in basketball especially, hey, look at the NBA, excuse me. What keeps people's interest throughout the long 82?
But-
It's not the individual games. It's
It
the
is the
storyline.
storylines,
It's
yeah.
what's LeBron? Where's
Yeah.
KD in his burner phone?
Right.
Hey, is Luca having baby mama drama? That's what sustains you until they get to some real basketball.
I personally don't like it because it doesn't look good. Locker room tensions. If things can go bad, coaches might not want to. They might hesitate to discipline fairly. If a breakup happens, the team could disrupt. A breakup doesn't just break up a relationship. It could tear the locker room, right?
Just by chance, this is Dallas, right? And as the old great Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson said, right? Hey, if that bum third string guy comes in late for a practice, he's cut.
Go.
Michael Irvin is late for practice. Hey, we don't start the practice till he gets here. All right? Different rules.
Different rules,
right?
That's right. So, man, I don't like it. I get why they're doing it, and more kudos to them. If they want to sell tickets this way, whatever works, right? Whatever works. And
most
it's
teams
about
have
business.
to figure it out, unless they have Caitlin Clark on their team, right?
There you go.
Every other team has to kind of figure out how do we create interest and a buzz for this team.
The WNBA is introducing a new era to our viewing experience. It is called Love and Basketball. You're going to start seeing a lot of relationships come out of the open now that this has now maybe being seen as a blueprint for success. Let's draft if the significant other would love their partner to be on the team, and let's create this loving environment, and we'll get reporters to talk on it. And if we get success on the court, that's even better. There's so much different things that we could start talking about when it comes to love and basketball in the WNBA. But guess what? It's what road they have chosen to go down. We're seeing it right in front of our eyes. So
listen here. Take my word for this one. I'm gonna make a Nostradamus prediction here.
All right, let's hear it.
There's gonna be a franchise that's intelligent enough to say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Okay, yes. Unless you're able to have a player that again, a star. And unfortunately in women's basketball, there's one, maybe two. I'm telling you, mark my words now. Put it in the book of accountability. There's gonna be a team that goes out and says, you know what? We're gonna put together an Instagram-ish kind of team, right? We're gonna put out, again, might not be the best of players, but they're gonna be visually pleasing to the eyes.
There you go.
And and attention, and a team that has maybe 2 or 3
I know
of
where
these
you're going.
players that have a following outside of the game of basketball, a social media following, I should say. Count my words on it. There's going to be an ownership group that's smart enough to take that direction in the near future. I'm telling you.
So you're saying the Laker girls are going to actually play basketball, and a lot of men are just going to turn their eyes right to that team because they got a lot of the hotties.
You're
You
gonna
know
have
what?
some unexplained. You're gonna have some
Ooh-wee.
unexplainable attention around that team.
Love and basketball. WNBA, I'd pay to see that. Oh, yeah, we're waiting for that. Last word on that, man. WNBA, take a page out of Karn's book because he's onto something. He's onto something.